Hello! Well, I'm hoping you can hear me. This is the first time I've done a Bandcamp live event. So if anyone's out there and you can hear me, then let me know. I can see you chatting, which is great. If you get some audio, that would be even better. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Catherine. Brilliant. So we got Baltimore in America. Wow. That's fabulous. My phone's beeping and beeping, mostly because I sent a ridiculous email saying that in 45 minutes time it would be 8 o'clock, and of course it was actually only 15 minutes away. There we go. I started writing the email 45 minutes before the event, but that's kind of what happens, hey? Let's just give it a couple of minutes just for some other people to log on. I've had someone email to say they hadn't realised they've actually got to make a Bandcamp account to log on, so let's give people a couple of minutes to make an account. Think of a password, Bandcamp123, presumably. Yeah, thanks, Tony. Hey, Nico. Hamburg. Oh, amazing. So, depending on what happens here tonight, you may hear all sorts in this house. I think we've got quite a few people here, and I think we've safely got them installed watching TV or on gadgets, doing video calls and things. So hopefully no one will come through the door behind me, unless they're offering tea, in which case I'll gladly accept. How long do you think they need to make a Bandcamp account? 2 minutes 18. Let me check. So what have you been up to today then, guys? I've been laying a shed base in the front garden. Not something I'm really an expert at, but dug deep, put some sand down, put some flags down, and I'm shattered. After about an hour doing that, my back was in bits, but it seems to have sorted itself out now. Had a nice big roast pork dinner, so can't go wrong with that. Right, I reckon we should start. Basically, what I want to do is just play through the album and have a little bit of a chat every now and again in between some of the songs. So please do think of some questions, pop them in the chat, and let's see what happens. But the more you pop in the chat, the more fun this is going to be, I think. So here's the first song, Deep Calls to Deep, and this one is a video. So there we go. That's the opening track, Deep Calls to Deep. And the reason I left the credits on there is I just wanted to give a big shout out to Gwilliam, who is the free diver on the last clip there. If you do get a chance, have a look at it. Look for him on YouTube. He's done some incredible stuff. It blows my mind when I watch just how far down they go. It's amazing. So yeah, that's Deep Calls to Deep. And another interesting thing I found when I was making the video for that one, I wanted to make it obviously look like someone was falling towards the ocean, and I had those waves as footage, and I thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll zoom into the waves and it'll make it look like we're falling towards them. But because of the waves are basically fractals, when you zoom in, they look exactly like they did before, and you can't actually tell it's zooming in at all, which I understood once I'd realised what was going on. I was thinking, is my zoom not working? So yeah, really interesting thing. If you zoom into waves, they just look like waves. They don't look like waves that are any closer or any further back. So there you go. That's my possibly not very interesting nugget of information for Deep Calls to Deep. Tony, he said, is this the first time you've worked with Tell Bryant? No, I've worked with him on a couple of other albums, actually. The first one was also an instrumental album called Norglen, which was my lockdown album, COVID lockdown album, and it was mostly strings, violins, some guitars, and I just thought, I wonder if Tell would play on this, and he did, and he put some incredible percussion on there. There's a little bit of kind of drum kit, but most of it's just crazy percussion. And it was absolute joy to work with. And then after that, I sent him the tracks that I'd done with demo drums on to him for the Grace Machine album, New Burying Ground. It wasn't the Grace Machine then, it was a Matt Steady album. So it was basically the demo tracks, and said, can you play on this? And he actually rang me up and said, do you know what? I love this so much. Would you consider doing it as a project with me? So obviously I'd play drums on it and help promote it, and can we put it under a band name? So for me that was just because Turl is just kind of one of my heroes really, so getting a chance to play with one of my heroes and for him to like my music enough to do that was really quite something. And he's an incredible drummer, and as you can hear on this album, he's just taken it from here to here. He's really elevated the whole album. Just superb. So thank you for your comments, Nico, and brilliant. Nottingham, brilliant. Well, that's not too far. 45 minutes up the road. No shed construction. I wish I hadn't. I should probably have left that for tomorrow. Okay, track 2 isn't a video. This one's called Constant, and turn it up because it's gonna rock. Let's try that again with the sound this time. And this time with sound on. There's only 2 buttons I've got to press, and I'm still getting them wrong. So what I was just saying there is that I really enjoy listening to that. I haven't actually listened to the album for several weeks, and normally by this time stage of an album, I've done the mixing and mastering and listened to it on CD and in the car and on headphones, and I've listened to it 1,000 times. I'm thinking, oh man, I don't want to listen to it again. Give me a break. But actually, I'm still enjoying it this time, so that must mean something. So I want to give a big shout out to Phil Styles now. He's another Midlands musician. He's part of the metal band. It doesn't really do him justice. Final Coil. They're kind of melodic doom metal, perhaps. That sounds awful, doesn't it? But they're fantastic. The sound they create is like nothing else live. It's very loud, but it's uplifting and it's melodic and just fabulous. They're wonderful, and I sang on a track on Phil's last solo album, which was really fun. So I wondered whether or not he'd just like to help out with this one a bit. So what we did, basically, I sent him the tracks and just said, the tracks are there, but can you add some sparkle? Can you add some pizzazz? What would you like to do? And apparently what Phil likes to do is add some really heavy guitars at times, and then adding some strange noises, tinkles. A lot of it you can't hardly, you've got to listen to. Almost none of it steals the limelight. He was ever so good in that respect, and he just kind of went with the song and just added things. But I've listened to the befores and afters after everything's been done, and it's made an astonishing difference. For instance, on Foundation, when we'll hear that in a bit, but when the second half comes in and it starts just rising, the guitars he's putting underneath that, they just thicken everything up and just make it just more powerful. And Phil, you're an absolute gent. Looking forward to working with you again for sure. Now, this next track, Espresso. Oh, dearie me. Back to good old Turl. I sent the album to Turl and said, can you play on this album? He said, of course I can. And so he did. And he sent back the first few tracks, and I just thought, this is amazing. Wow, it just slotted straight in, and then he sent back Espresso, and I thought, what a load of rubbish. What on earth have you done here, Turl? Because the second half was just all over the place. It's like, oh, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. It's the wrong time. It's the wrong time signature. What are you doing? Anyway, so you kind of get demo fever when you're an artist, and you fall in love with your own demos. And then when some people put some other stuff on instead of what you've put on there, occasionally it grates because it's not what you did. So then you just have to listen to it another 100 times, and then you get it. Bam, and you think, oh yeah, that is way better actually. But on this one, I couldn't get my head around it at all. And what he'd done, I think it was 4/4 I'd been playing in, and it was really straight. And he'd just gone, do you know what? This needs something different. And he played something like 5/4, 7/4, 8/4, 7/4, 5/4, 3/4. It was like, and he'd just done all these different bar lengths, and I don't even know how you can play that. It's completely beyond me. So I went back and I looked at the drums and worked out what bars he'd actually done. And I found that just by moving stuff just like one note, and with only like 3 or 4 little changes, I moved it all. And suddenly it all came together and it sounded amazing. And it just brought a kind of breath of fresh air to the track, because it isn't straight 4/4. If you try and dance to this, you are going to trip over, because every bar is a different length in the second half. But it works, and it's just amazing, and I would never have thought of doing it. So thank you, Turl. You're a legend. Now, have I missed any questions while I've been in here? Nico, since I've only discovered you recently, how many albums have you made? Which one should I check out besides Presents? Oh gosh, I think this is number 10. I think, in a way, it feels like my first one. I know that sounds really daft, but just because it's so different to the others, it feels like I've started again from scratch. But if you're into your guitars, check out New Burying Ground by the Grace Machine. I'll put that in the chat. and that'll rock your socks off. It's kind of gospel blues. Norglen, The Sacred Nine. If you like instrumentals, it's a lot more strings orientated, that one. It's more kind of meditative, but that's great. And then I've got a lot of other kind of folk albums, and if you like folk, then yeah, check them out. But they're all on my website. You go down there, you can listen to all of them in full, which is nice. So yeah, let me know what you like, and I'll hit you up. Okay, espresso. If I can press the right buttons, here we go. Love that. Okay, time for another shout out. I think I pressed the right button so you can hear me. This one's to Nick Ciatinas, my good friend. Worked with him for many a year before we left to do different things. Me to do crazy stuff like music and fostering. But he's the photographer who did the amazing artwork for Presents, and also the video for Sunrise, which you'll see at the end, which is just so good. So thanks, Nick. You're an absolute star. We went to the Lake District for a weekend to get the shots, and then we went up Croft Hill and got some other ones and do the video. So anyway, this is the... Take the cellophane off. So this is the front cover. I mean, the CD... hang on. On my screen, everything's left to right, so when I move it, it's a bit strange. So that's the CD, and it looks so good. And the back is you're not going to be able to see on here, are you? But that's me on a stream, basically. And he did some very clever photography, so the water kind of looks all frothy and slow motion. So I had to sit still for several seconds, which is something that I quite like doing, to be fair, especially if I've got a cup of tea. And then in the middle, this is Lake District. I know, can you see that? Yeah. So he called that shot Matt the Redeemer, which I thought was funny. And this is Eddie then took this and did a line art drawing of it, which is just amazing, and that went on the back of the t-shirts and the hoodies. And then the CD, I'm probably going to get sued by the Lake District. This stone here is like a massive sculpture. It's a huge rock that's been chopped in half, and then you've got this design kind of etched into it as a carving, and I found them to be absolutely beautiful. So yeah, so there we go. So thank you, Nick. You've done a sterling job there. Well done. Thanks so much, my partner in crime. Wearing that t-shirt now. Good man, Tony. Sounding great, even on mid-afternoon coffee. Mid-afternoon. What time is it now? Oh, my life. It's way past my bedtime. You've got... What? That red wine I'm drinking has some cold brew coffee blended into it. I've never heard of that. Is it good? You got me thinking I should try this now. Basically, coffee with everything. Or was it just in the mug when you sloshed it in and it was an accident? 3:31. By the power of time zones. So the next track is called Rain. And this... Basically, I mean, I don't really like telling people what to think when they listen to my music. I just want them to kind of shut their eyes, sit back and just go somewhere, feel something, you know. But this one, when I wrote it, I had a definite thing in my head of I wanted it to be space orientated. So when you listen to it, you'll kind of, hopefully you'll get a little bit of that, kind of feel the immenseness of the galaxy and the stars and the planets. There we go. That's Rain. I like that one. Yep. So the question was, any particular guitar players being an influence on your playing style? And there's I reckon some of the guitarists. I mean, I started off trying to play Clapton an awful lot when I started playing guitar. Not awfully successfully, I don't think, but he was a huge influence at the time. I don't listen to him so much these days. But yeah, definitely David Gilmour, Gary Moore, Steve Vai, Dave Bronze, Jeff Beck, and Mike Oldfield. Ah, interesting. But I think all of the different guitarists you ever listen to, they kind of come through at some point, don't they? This is same with any musician. You're the sum of everything you've ever listened to and everything you've ever experienced, and then you add your own personality on top, I think. But yeah, if you don't know Dave Bronze, check out Dave Bronze. He is absolutely excellent. His first album is a kind of instrumental guitar album, and then his next one's Tolkien inspired, so Lord of the Rings, and they are just outstanding, really, really good. Yeah, so check him out. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but on the first video, I was wearing a Dave Bronze t-shirt. Okay, so the next track, I nearly didn't put this on the album. I've got to say, I really kind of enjoyed making this one, but it was... I don't really know how to describe it, but for a long time, it didn't feel like there was a proper thread running through it. It was very kind of whimsical, and I don't know, I liked it, but I wasn't quite sure if it fitted. But as I said before, I put the CD on in the car when I'm listening to what I've done, just to see how it's going, and also see the reaction of other people. Excuse me. And this particular one, the kids kept singing it while I was playing it, and so I immediately thought, well, it's got a bit of something then, let's pop it in. But for me, that's really important to me, actually, which is there's a lot of guitar players who can play a million notes per hour, and you can go to any guitar shop in town and there'll be some 12-year-old kid there just blowing you away, and there you go. That's not what I'm aiming to do. So I'm more about your kind of melody, your phrasing, and for me, these are songs. So my aim for all of these songs was I can sing these. They've all got a tune. When you finish the song, you can go away and hum a few bars. If you can't do that, I think there's something a bit wrong. It's just flash for the sake of being flash. I love being able to do a few quick bits and things that sound different and weave them in, but they should be to enhance the song, not to be the focal point. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but for me, these are songs. They haven't got words, and in a way, they bring out the emotions that were in me when I'd run out of words anyway. But that's a story for another time, perhaps. Okay, so where did I get to? Yes, Perforate. So the kids were singing this in the car, and then I thought, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you, bunch. Talking to Dave Brods, I completely forgotten that last lick is his. Really funny, actually. There's a funny story behind that, but I'm probably running out of time there. But basically, he'd written that lick for somebody else, and they didn't actually use it. I couldn't believe it. And I had this 8 bars at the end of that song, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I'd written all sorts of things. And I just had the guitar and bass going in a groove, but I just didn't know what to put on it. And when he said he got this bit, I just thought, hang on a minute. That would fit, and it did. It just fit straight over the top. I had to take it down a tone. And Bob's your uncle. Thank you, Dave Bronze. There we go. So, my mum and dad are in Lyme Regis on holiday. Hi, Mum. Hi, Dad. They're watching, but they can't join in the chat for some reason. I think they need to make an account, but don't worry. Just enjoy it. Sit back and enjoy it. I bet they're drinking Earl Grey. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, lovely to have you on here. Okay. This next track, this is something else. This one, again, I nearly didn't put on the album. I just couldn't get it sounding like it belonged on the album. I started off with a 7-string guitar to get a real chunky rhythm on there. Deep, chunky. And it sounded a bit like Extreme, I'd say. And I loved the lead guitar I put over the top. I just messed about and enjoyed myself. It was just so much fun. And it's, some of the stuff on here is kind of epic and majestic and, all that kind of stuff. But this one is just plain fun. But then I talked it through with Phil Styles, and we came up with a couple of things, and we put some keys behind it, and it just kind of softened it a little bit, and it just made it fit in with the album. But the funny thing is, I thought, do you know what, I'm going to try and do a bit of a video for this one. So one of the lads that we've got at the moment, I got him to basically I ran round the village in Narborough and around the park with a guitar case. And I got him to run after me with a camera and kind of film me. I thought that might be quite fun. I hadn't quite realised just how much quicker I was. I think it must have been the adrenaline, but he couldn't really keep me in sight. So by the time I got home and watched it, there wasn't actually much of me on the camera because I'd just gone. But and I absolutely exhausted myself. And we got back and we just saw the pub and we just both went in and we had a big glass of Coke each. Yeah, rock and roll, I know. And we sat there for about 10 minutes just getting our breath back because we were both absolutely knackered. And then I gave myself shin splints, and I had sore shins for about a month. So anyway, this is a really silly video. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, I've done it again. What I was saying was, handmade leather notebooks, textured, creamy paper, guaranteed to make you twice as creative if you're a songwriter, a poet, or anything like that. Or you could do to-do lists in them. Great for birthdays, Christmases, weddings, bar mitzvahs, anything. Anyway, but yes, guaranteed to make you more creative. Just thought I'd put that on there. They're on the site as well. Help yourself. The next song is Foundation. Now, this one might be one of my very favourites on the album. And I did get a review through of the album, which was broadly very complimentary, which I was really happy about. But it did say that Foundation felt very much like an album track, a bit formulaic. You know, okay, but nothing special. My heart. Don't worry, Foundation. I love you. sound is definitely on now. Yeah, I like that one. Yes, I was just saying I played this and Deep Calls to Deep live on a Zoom evening organised by Steve Pledger called Sounds Good. I sometimes share that, and he has a variety of really good normally acoustic artists, but I rock the boat sometimes, so I try and play something a bit different each time. I did violin last one before that. And that's a great fun evening. They're absolutely bonkers, but if you see it as well, if you got a free hour for it, it's really, really good fun. Now, where do we get to? That was Foundation. Trying to think of something interesting to say between these two. I haven't mentioned the vinyl. I really shouldn't have done vinyl. It's a stupid idea. It doesn't pay for itself, and as a marketing thing, it's a nonsense, really. However, I love vinyl. I've got such great memories of playing vinyl, my dad's vinyl, when I was younger, and I still love vinyl now. And I've always wanted to do a record, and so I just thought, do you know what? I'm going to do it. It's a bucket list item. Tick, I've done it. And actually, so I think to break even, I need to sell like 40 records, 45 records, something like that. And I think I've sold 20 now, so it only gets released today, so I think that's quite good. I think I'll actually probably just about break even on the records. But I cannot wait. They're in manufacture at the moment, and I cannot wait to get the first one back. Oh, it's going to be amazing. I hope they don't get lost in the post, like everything seems to over here. Okay. What do we got? And both you and I live about as far from the coast as can be, Matt. That's very true. Well, we had a holiday in Swanage with the kids, and that was great fun. We got a couple of days at the beach when the sun came out, and I got really pink. And then we went to... Oh, gosh, where else did we go? On the kids' birthdays, we went to Skegness. Of course, Skegness. I like Skegness, actually. The sand's really good. And the beach, it takes ages to actually get deep. You can walk for about a mile, and no one's going to drown in the sea, which is great. The vinyl, you should be able to get it on here, actually, or you can get it on my website, Chris, if you fancy a bit of that. Should be really good. Yes, vinyl used to be the cheap option. That's funny, isn't it? There we go. So, with thoughts of me sunburnt and peeling, here we go to Jelly Babies. Okay, time for another shout out. And this one again is to John Reed. We've been playing on each other's albums for ages, and we actually met on Twitter, believe it or not. I saw him on there and listened to one of his tracks called Guns and thought, oh, this has really got something. And we started chatting, and in the end he said, do you know what? I'm passing Leicester. Why don't we meet up on the M1 service station for a coffee? And I thought, this is a bit weird. Go on then. So I did. I met him at the service station on the M1, and we sat there and we chatted and we had a lovely time. And since then we've become firm friends. And I quite often play violin on his stuff, and we play live together. Great fun. He's got an album out this week as well. Check it out. Check out John Reed. Anyway, quite often, if you sit me down in a guitar shop, give me a guitar and say, you're a guitarist, play something, I'll just freeze and go, I don't know. I kind of need something to play off, but if you play me some chords, and I'll be all over it. I kind of need something to bounce off and give me something to play off. And for this track, John Reed very kindly recorded like a moody synth thing. It hasn't even really got any chords in it particularly. It's just like a mood piece. And I took that and put stuff all over it. And there's hardly any of the synth left in it. You can hear it at the beginning very clearly. But basically, it's this acorn that an oak tree has grown out of. So it's none of this track would have happened without this synth piece. So although it isn't actually very prominent in the actual track itself, it's what made the whole track happen. And I think in this, halfway through, it comes in with a bang, and I think that's probably my favourite little bit of the album when that comes in. Oh yeah, it's good. So thank you, John, and I've named it in your honour. Okay. Thank you, John Reed. And I use a little trick on the end of that one, that last bit of guitar, and it's the same in one of the other tracks. Is it Foundation? Can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm using a full tone scale. So if you're a musician or guitarist, I suppose guitarists and musicians, you know what I mean. Basically, it just goes, the scale goes tone, 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 tone. There's no semitones in it at all. So it's a really unique scale. So far, I've only really found it working over a kind of a drone. I don't change the chords in between. I just play the same chord underneath, and it's got a really kind of unique, lovely sound. I really enjoy it. So if you're a guitarist, give it a whirl. It's good fun. So that was Reed, and let's see. The next track I think is possibly the favourite of mine on the album. It's called Sunrise. And this is the one where Nick and I went up Croft Hill in Leicester. Basically, it's the only hill around. You go up this. It used to be a volcano. Well, it's an inactive volcano, and next to it is a quarry, Croft Quarry, and it's the deepest man-made hole in Europe. Wow, it's really big. You stand there, and it doesn't look big, but it's because you can't get a sense of the scale. But then you see a truck at the bottom of it and you think, oh my life, that is a big hole. I go up there quite often because there's some really nice birding up there. There's, I think, I once saw an osprey up there, which is quite rare. Oh, I'm rambling here. Dad will find it interesting. And there's kestrels and kites and buzzards and lots of other things. But yeah, lots of stuff there. So I go there with the kids quite often. And anyway, we filmed Sunrise in it. When we went to the Lake District, we got up really early both times, climbed up a hill, waited for the sunrise, and it didn't happen. So we got some great shots of the Lake District thing, thanks Nick, but we didn't get any sunrise. It's like, oh no, nightmare. So then we just went up Croft Hill one day, and I took my amp and guitar, and we got a sunrise. What can I say? We recorded it on Nick's drone and on his video camera and all sorts, and I spent ages putting it all together here, and I just love the video on this one. It's absolutely epic. It's kind of funny in a way, but it's also epic, and when the sunrise comes up, it's just lovely. What else was I going to say? I just wanted to say thanks so much everyone for tuning in and listening. I love making music, and I'd make it if no one listened to it. But when people do listen to it and are so obviously excited and love it as much as I do, it's fantastic. It's really great, and thanks so much for joining us. Quite a lot of these songs are really hard for me to play. Really hard. I had to spend a lot of time brushing up on my technique and learning new techniques to get these songs. I'm a different guitar player than I was a year ago. I've practiced my socks off hours a day for a year, basically. I'm giving myself a bit of tennis elbow, believe it or not, by doing so. My guitar playing has improved, which is nice. Just gives me some extra vocabulary for the songs. But yeah, so I'm up to being able to play 5 of them live now, and I've got another 5 that I'm still working on, but they're real tough. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to do a full live run through, which would be really nice, and perhaps you'll join me for that if I get around to doing that. So here we go. I'm just going to check the chat. Anything? There we go. So, yep, here we go. Sunrise. Yeah, so that's sunrise. Thank you again, Nick, for getting up so early in the morning to film that with me. And just magical that the sun came out, and that's what it looked like. It was stunning when we were there. By the way, it's very disconcerting trying to play guitar when there's a drone here. Oh dear. Thanks so much for joining. Honestly, I've had a blast, and it means a lot to me that you've joined. Yep. So don't forget, if you haven't ordered a vinyl already, that'd be very cool. I'm looking forward to those immensely, and CDs, notebooks, downloads, all that kind of jazz. But do you know what? Really, I'm here just to spend the time with you. Thank you for spending the evening with me. It feels like an honour that you've chosen to spend your evening with me. So that's great. So I hope you enjoyed your glass of cucumber lemonade, Melissa, red wine, and coffee. That was a crazy combination, and I've enjoyed my cup of tea, so that was nice. And yeah, I want to start work on the next album. I better promote this one now. It's just gone out there, hadn't I? But yes, looking forward to the next one. Anyone got any last questions before we sign off? Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Melissa. Yeah, tea's epic. Do you know what? I treated myself today. Rather than getting the normal Aldi tea bags, yesterday I got some English breakfast. I just fancied a treat. It was great. Well worth it. Welsh cakes. Oh, now we're talking. That's good. All right, I'm signing off now, guys. I believe this should be up for another 48 hours. So if you enjoyed it, why not send the link to somebody and see if they enjoy it as well? If there's a video that you particularly like, they're all on YouTube, and you've got the address of my website, and also you know how to contact me. So message me, Facebook, email, anything like that. I'm always here. All right, thanks so much, guys. You're absolute legends.